But I do have to ask if it's true that you and your husband met when you confronted him for a sort of snarky remark that he wrote about the WNBA.
Well, first of all, I am impressed that our wall colors are exactly the same. But yes, you are absolutely correct. It's funny. I was playing with the New York Liberty, and I was subletting an apartment from a guy named John Walters, who was writing at Sports Illustrated at the time. And I had been living there a couple of weeks, and John said, I'll come down, I'll kind of show you around the neighborhood. And so he did. We went to dinner, and then we went to this dive bar on the Upper West Side, the Dublin House. And while we were there, John said, a couple of my colleagues from Sports Illustrated are going to meet us out for a beer, Steve Rushin and Mark Beach. And I'd been reading Steve for years. And this is before, they had like the little picture with the column as well.
Yeah.
So I had no idea like how old he was, what he looked like. I knew nothing about him. And in walks, these two guys. And but I did know that, and he hates that this happened, that he wrote this, but he had just written a column with a bunch of like different one-liners. And one of them was, Wilt Chamberlain bragged about sleeping with 10,000 women. The other night I slept with 6,000. I was at a New York Liberty game. And so like, I'm probably one or two beers in. And when I meet him and I said, are you the guy who wrote the thing about the WNBA in your column? And he just turned red and he said, yeah, that was me. And I said, well, how many WNBA games have you been to? How many Liberty games have you been to? Excuse me. And he said, none. And I said, well, obviously, because we get 14,000. So at least if you say you're going to be sleeping, it's with 14,000. I said, well, you're going to have to at some point come to New York Liberty games. So later that summer he did, and we didn't start dating until a couple months later. But yeah, that's one of our first interactions, and we've been challenging one another ever since. We've been married 21 years now. So yeah.